Okay, I wanted to have a quick chat about this software that I've developed using OpenCode. So I've developed this software that allows you to build, like you would in Minecraft, build a model, and then you can attach images to the blocks, and that allows you to build, for example, in this case, a shop, and you can stock the shop with various different food items and so if we kind of like zoom into the shop, then we can pan around the shop. That's a bit too far. We are in orthographic. It works better in perspective mode. Yeah, so in this shop, for example, um, you can zoom in and out using the zoom controls here and rotate, or you can use the mouse buttons. So in this case, what I'm trying to do is to go into the shop and look at the different products that are in the shop. Let me just reset that view and go straight back in. That's a bit better. One of the most tricky parts of this project has been the navigation. But what I've got here are a door and a window. I've got a shop counter, and I've put loads of different food items on the shop counter, and I've put a meat slicer and a till there as well. And so I've just done the shop layout like you'd expect it to be. And then I've put, instead of actually having shelving, I've put pictures of all of the food items in the locations. So if you go onto this wall, it should, when you scan over the pictures, show you what the actual product is. So you've got lentils, noodles, rice, whatever the picture name is. I've got different pasta there. We've got jams, marmalade, raspberry, dates, apricots, olives, and that one's not recognised for some reason. Green olives, some salami, pepperoni, stuff like that. And there's a clock on the wall there. And then you've got the front counter. And on the front counter, we've got a section for cheeses, Greek dips, cakes and bakes. And so all of this has been created just with blocks and images. So if I reset the view, it takes you to the front of the shop. So you can just scoot around it. So we've got panels here which are textures, block textures. We've got images. So you can load up any number of images and put them into your images directory. And then when you press reload images, then it reloads whatever is in your images directory, and then it becomes available. So you can select an image there. If you select an image, then it becomes, by default, you can use it as a block. Or if you select an image, you can select it as a mural, which means that it'll apply it to a wall. So, for example, here's a brick. So I can just place brick blocks along there, and I can delete them with the right mouse button. And I can create some more. If I select them using Control, they become highlighted. Then I can do copy and paste operations. Copy again. That didn't go. The first one didn't go in the right location. So it's copy V to paste. So you can quickly build up a wall or something. if I want to change the texture on one of those, I can just do shift click and then it changes it. So you don't have to rebuild it. Or I can shift click and change it to that for like the glass effect. If I go to an image, I can select marmalade and do the same with that. I can shift select and that turns into a marmalade block. So that's one way of doing it. Or if I want, I could select black olives and change it to black olives. Or I can do mural and then I select the range that I want to apply it to. So then I have black olives there, like as if it's like a poster or something. And then right click should get rid of it. I can also do labels. So I can select a range and then put some text across it. And then it puts a label across there like that. So that's useful for labeling different parts of the shop. I can get rid of that and I can get rid of the blocks. You've got Control Z to undo previous operations, so you can use that. And then, so that's the images and textures. We've got a reset view here, which takes you to the front of the shop. You can switch between perspective and orthographic mode. That's still a bit in development, but you can switch between them. You can change it to orbit or WSD mode, which selects whether you're using the arrow keys or whether you're using WSD keys. Then we've got export. So the file that I'm running here is a HTML file. So that's the file that's been developed by OpenCode. But in terms of saving what I've created, the blocks, the images, the labels and everything, it goes in this JSON file. So I can export that. And by default, it exports to your download directory. So you can save it. I tend to move it to a safe place after I've saved it. So I put it in a directory, that my project directory, as it were. And then you can also import. So if you have saved the current state of play and then you make some changes, then you want to go back to an old version, you can just do import JSON, and then you can select it from a list of models, and that's the model development that I've got there. So that's import and export of the geometry. So I've talked about mural, label. Probe allows you to probe a position. So it might be useful to know a certain position if you want to change, well, just for positioning things, but if you want to change the position of a light, or if you want to tell OpenCode to do something with a certain position, then that's useful. So that's just a probe. And select is like these blocks here have been selected. So that allows you to cut and paste them like so. But Joel said that hasn't got rid of that for some reason. But if you want to clear the selection, then you can do that. I don't know why that didn't undo that cut and paste operation, but it should have done. But I can right click blocks to delete them. Yeah, so I can clear the selection if I want to select something else. Now all of these panels by default are collapsed, but you can open them up to look at them. So go down a bit. The next one is the lighting panel. And the bottom one is just help. So there's some help commands there about the control and use of control and shift and whatnot. The lighting is one of the other issues that took a while. I still haven't quite got it right. There's actually 4 different types of lighting. I've got a lighting texture here, which can be applied in textures. Where is it? Oh, it's that one there. Yeah, that's a lighting texture. So you could literally go and put some lighting in a region. It's not very bright, but it's just I recently added that, so it's kind of experimental. But then apart from that, in the lighting, you've got a headlight, which is like it says, you can just change your headlight beam if you need a bit more light on a particular subject. You've got sunlight, so this yellow blob over here is the sun. So you can change the brightness of the sun, and you can also literally just position it. So that's that the sun there. The sun needs to be a bit larger really because it's quite a small dot. But you can change the position of the sun and move that forwards, backwards, up or down, whatever you want to do with it, depending on the time of day or whatever. And I've also in the shop here, I've got this. Don't know if you can see it, but I've got this hanging light here. So I put a light in the shop, so you can change the brightness of that as well. Because by default everything was quite dim, so I needed to increase the brightness quite a lot. So the light position, you can lower it or raise it. Again, you can change the Z position and the X position of it. So yeah, you can do quite a lot with that. Bearing in mind that you can construct blocks, as many blocks as you need on this grid, and you can build it up and what have you. And you can also load in as many images as you want. You can create new textures. The textures here are just like tiles, brick, wood, slate, marble, glass. But you can load in as many images, and you can have as many images as you need for all the different food types that you might have in the shop. So you can stock it with as much as you want. And that's about it really. What else is there to say? Lighting. So yeah, that's where I've got to at the moment. So it's kind of still in development because I'm not quite happy with the navigation, but it allows you to build a layout like you would in Minecraft and then cover it with pictures and set up your environment. And I'm very much working with OpenCode at the moment, so I have that open and then I make requests and then that develops a new version of Builder and then I reload it and then so yeah, that's where I've got to with it so far. It's been quite an interesting project, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it. Oh, the background of this is that this is a shop in Leicester on Clarendon Park Road, where I used to work, which is called Robert's Pantry. And this is like a long time ago, maybe 40 years ago. And the shop is now TJ's as far as I'm aware. And next door there was a hairdresser's. And then on the other side there's this archway that goes to the back of the shop, but I think it's now some kind of B&B or something like that there now. So basically I've just done a mock-up of the shops on that street. So this is what it looks like nowadays on the outside, but when you go into the shop, you go into more like what it looked like. I'm not sure the shop ever did look like this. I think this model's kind of a bit bigger. It probably feels a bit more spacious, but it's just kind of a representation of what the shop was like and what it had in it. So yeah, I might go and develop this a bit further. I'm not sure yet, because in reality, you had the shop front and then you had the little bit going through to the back of the shop. I can pan over. and then there was like a kitchen space here, um, and then there's like another little bit through to a kind of like a utility room where there was like a sink and lots of fridges along the wall and washing up area. And then there's like the backyard. So this archway led through to a backyard. So potentially this could become quite a large model, but at the moment it is just kind of experimenting with what I can develop using OpenCode and how far I can get with that. I'm trying to find out if it produce a tool that's actually useful for anything. So that's where I've got with it so far, and I will update you again if there's anything else interesting to talk about.